Hi guys, hope you're having a great day. This video is the first in a series of virtual flight school videos that I'm going to make, so more of these videos are on the way. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell so you're the first to know when new videos like this come out, hit the like button, and with that said, let's get started. If you're totally new to flying, or are looking to transition from flying an airplane in a video game to really understanding how an airplane is supposed to be flown in a simulator, this video series will be perfect for you. I'm going to break down the concepts of flying an airplane into simple terms, using a mix of drawings and practical demonstrations in simulated flight. Any questions you have about flight simulation as a hobby, pop them in the comment section down below. Remember to treat flight simulation as a simulation, and make sure you seek real-world training for real-world flying. Today, let's start with a topic many of us may remember from elementary school science class, the four forces of flight. Safely flying an airplane relies on balancing these four forces and understanding how they affect how an airplane flies. The four forces are thrust, lift, drag, and gravity. I've color-coded thrust and lift in green, as those are positive forces that us pilots want to maintain. Drag and gravity are in orange, as they are forces that can get dangerous, but with proper attention, we can actually use these to our advantage. Otherwise, without gravity and drag, how do we slow down and get back to the ground for landing? Now if we lose thrust, drag overcomes thrust, lift becomes weaker, and gravity becomes stronger. If this continues for long enough, the airplane will stop flying and stall, as demonstrated here in the simulator. Not to worry, there is a way to correct a stall, and I will demonstrate how we can use each of the four forces of flight to our advantage. Now as you saw, I did recover from that stall. How is that possible? As a pilot, I have to pay attention to how the airplane is behaving. By noticing the four forces of flight being out of balance, I address the lack of speed by working gravity to my advantage. I push the nose down to increase speed, overcome drag, which increases lift on the wings, and I pull up to resume safe flight. A bunch of changes just happened here, so let's break down each of the four forces of flight and how they act on the airplane. Let's first discuss thrust. Although many in flight school would call this thrust, I would really call this forward motion for simplicity, because forward motion can be achieved and maintained through several different ways. As we know, forward motion, also known as speed, is the result of an object being pushed forward by force. In an airplane's case, this can be done by having an engine providing thrust, which pushes the airplane forward. The stronger the engine, the more easily the airplane moves forward. The wind pushing against the airplane can cause it to be pushed back, forward, or sideways, depending on the direction the wind is coming from. And even when the engine dies, we can still continue flying forward as seen here. Although the engine isn't actively pushing us forward, we still have some momentum that we can use. That said, the longer we stay in this exact position, the more momentum we lose. The reason we're losing momentum is because we don't have a source of thrust, being our engine, to overcome the drag that's constantly acting on the airplane. Because we don't have an engine providing thrust, we need to rely on what momentum we have left in order to fly forward at all, and change the direction of the airplane accordingly, by pushing the front of it down. This is when drag really kicks in. Drag is the opposite of forward motion and affects an airplane in two real-world forms. The first being that an airplane will have to deal with the wind. This is best compared to a sailboat trying to sail against the wind. If the wind is too strong, the boat will be pushed back. If, however, the sailboat turns to a different direction, where the wind is pushing the back of the boat, the wind will actually catch the sail and push the boat forward. The same happens to the airplane. Depending on which direction you're flying, the wind can either push you forward, backwards, or sideways. Secondly, air has density to it. This is best compared to a fish being surrounded by water and having to swim through it. Same with an airplane. It is surrounded by air and must fly through it. In order to do so, the airplane must have an engine in order to gain speed while flying forward, just like a fish moves its fin to swim forward. Because drag can keep an airplane, or any object for that matter, from moving forward, it's important that the airplane have a strong enough engine in order to overcome drag and gain speed. Having an aerodynamic shape that easily cuts through the air can also reduce the need for a strong engine, much like how a sharp knife makes it easy to slice through a piece of cake. Let's now talk about lift. Lift is best described as airflow that flows underneath and over the wing. If there's enough lift, there's enough airflow going underneath the wing to keep it airborne. If the airflow becomes too slow, the wing will become ineffective and cause the airplane to stall. A practical way of seeing this in action is having someone with long hair blow dry their hair. On a high enough setting, their hair actually starts to fly. That's because there's enough airflow to keep their hair airborne. Lift has been achieved. Now when the airflow is reduced, so is the lift, and that hair begins to fall. Same happens to an airplane's wing as seen earlier. This is gravity taking over. Gravity is the force that pulls down on every object to keep it on the ground. If you drop a rock, it falls straight down, because gravity is pulling it down and you're no longer holding it up. But how come our airplane didn't fall straight down like a rock when the engine died? Well, let's use that same rock in our example. If you just drop a rock without throwing it, it falls straight down. If you throw a rock, what happens instead? It flies forward and in the direction you threw it in for a little while, and then it starts to fall towards the ground, right? That's why our airplane didn't drop like a rock. Just like your hand was the engine that pushed the rock forward through the air, once you let go of the rock, that rock lost its engine power, being your hand, and started to rely on its momentum to glide through the air. Eventually, drag and gravity overcame speed and lift, and the rock started to slow down and head towards the ground. Because it didn't have wings and a means of controlling its flight path, it eventually hits the ground pretty hard, rather than gently landing on the ground. Now back to our airplane. Unlike a rock, we have a means of controlling our descent. We can do so by flying in a safe direction, and we could even gain speed by going in a dive as seen here. Now we can try flying straight, but we'll lose speed as drag overcomes our momentum. As our momentum and speed decreases, airflow under the wings decreases, lift diminishes, gravity takes over, and we will stall again. Because we can control the airplane and it has wings, unlike that rock, we can find a safe direction to point the airplane at, maintain it, and make a safe descent towards the ground. If I want to convert gravity to speed, I can push the nose down. If I want to make my descent more shallow and not get back to the ground so fast, I can point the airplane up more. The exact angle I should point the airplane at depends on how much speed I want and how quickly I want to return to Earth. It is possible to land with a dead engine, and rest assured that pilots are trained to safely fly both with and without an engine. Now because I did turn off the engine, I'll turn it back on again to review the 4 forces of flight with the engine running. So, we've returned to normal flying. We're flying straight. If I make the engine work harder, you'll notice my speed goes up, and so does my nose. Thrust is increasing, and so is lift. I'm starting to fly higher. If I reduce the engine power, the speed drops, drag is getting stronger, lift is getting weaker, gravity is taking over, and I start to return to Earth. So that's going to conclude our first lesson. Our next lesson is going to be about the 3 ways of changing direction in an airplane. We'll go over how to use each in order to balance the 4 forces of flight by changing the airplane's direction, and learn the parts of an airplane. In the 3rd video, I'll go over the basic instruments you'll need to know how to read while flying the airplane. I will of course cover even more topics after that in the videos that follow as time goes on, so be sure to hit the subscribe button, the notification bell if you haven't already, and I hope the video was helpful to you, and if it was, do show your support and hit that like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, safe travels.